Hey everybody, this is Charles Calhoun, aka the ShadeTree Pro. Look, I got something that I'm going to share with you all, and something that I think a lot of inexperienced coaches, who just basically follow the information or go with data and don't really know how truly to put something in application. Because sometimes just because the data may say something doesn't mean that's how the action is performed. And one of the biggest things that I have issue with is I hear about something like that board that moves back and forth, and I put a video up talking about that in a true athletic motion, what you're really doing is going from the outside of the foot to the inside of the foot. And if you only had one leg, you would go from the outside of the foot to the inside of the foot on the trail foot, which is behind the strike. When we're hitting a golf ball, we're trying to stay behind the ball. Now, I'm going to give you my reasons for that. Now, I see the guys that saying, okay, you start here on the left leg, then you go to the right leg and back to the left leg. That to me, that really complicates the issue in a sense, because in the top-down philosophy and my swing philosophy, by the time I'm coming down, there's a reason that the top-down starts first. And I'm going to explain that to you. And one of the biggest issues that I have noticed that I see in the golf, and when it comes to teaching and explaining the golf swing and the actions and movements, we always talk about the dominant eye. We always talk about the dominant arm, but nobody's really talking about the dominant leg. So if you sit up there and, like I said, I used to be also punted back in my days in football. In essence, I didn't sit there and try to punt with my left leg. Could I do it? Yes. But the most dominant leg was my right leg. And majority of the people that out there that's playing golf, a majority are right-handed, and they are right side dominant, and they are right leg dominant. And it makes a lot of sense, because when you set up to the golf ball, it is the trail leg that's behind the strike. Now, when all these people talk about, getting to, here first to the left side, then to the right side, then back to the left side, well, they're not taking in consideration something that Harvey Pinnick said. Harvey Pinnick said it best. He said sometimes people get so focused with the turn, they forget about that swinging the golf club to strike the ball has got to be the most important thing. So when we make a movement with the lower body, we got to make that lower body movement that's conducive to the action of what we're trying to do. Now, one thing I will definitely agree with, and everybody out there will agree with in science when it comes to striking the golf ball, is that the golf club will bottom out more times than not where the bottom of the sternum basically points. That's where the golf club will bottom out. So if the sternum is pointing back here, then chances are you're going to hit it back here. So what we're trying to do in a golf swing, or the movements of the body or lower body, however you want to do it, what we're trying to do is get ourselves in a position, because at address, the golf club is behind the ball. We need to move that bottom of that arc over to here. We need to move it 2 to 3, 4 inches, whatever, past the golf ball. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the sternum past the golf ball. And so we can strike down behind it coming from a descending blow or angle of attack, whatever you want to call it. And I mean, it doesn't, I can see that. I can figure that out. I don't need data to tell me how that happens. It's an action. So I use an analogy kind of like the old people back in the day when we used to hang clothes up on the line, and then we would take that prop pole to keep the line and the clothes up and over, in a sense. So what's happening in the golf swing? So, well, first let me show you what's happening when they're saying, okay, left foot, right foot, then the left foot, in a sense. And you've heard me say many times that getting to the lead side is just a reaction. It just happened. I'm more focused on what the dominant leg is doing and how the dominant leg is working in the golf swing. So what's happening is here. Is that when I get to the top of my swing, and you got, like I said, once again, we're outside, you're here the choppers. But once I get to the top of my golf swing, you already know that I've talked about my scap drop. Well, here's what's happening, is that when I get to the top of the golf swing here, and then I make my top down move, what the scapula is doing, because once it's away from center, then it's getting back to center. It's got to come back to center, or medial, whatever you want to call it. So what it's doing when it comes there, it's actually pushing my body cavity over. Now, what this trail leg is doing here, because when you put pressure on this trail leg, it actually pushes you in that direction. What the trail leg is doing is keeping the sternum over so you can strike down and through the ball. That's what the whole purpose of it is. So, and then when you really take a look and try to understand why I'm just saying, you know, you're not so much trying to get over here to the lead side, here is why. Because if I sit here and I put pressure to the lead side, what does the lead side want to do? It wants to push me back that way. So you see people that's like this. So then they think that they're doing something wrong, but they're actually not doing anything wrong. The thing is the action they're trying to create is conducive to exactly what they're doing. No different than if I was playing left-handed, then that would work for a left-hander, because now when I push down, you know, from the top down and this goes over, now the sternum would be on this side, and then I can strike down, angle attack through the ball. So the whole purpose, when you see the video, where I said my top down move is basically, it's a sequence. So when the scapula comes down, it pushes the center over, you know, pushes the center over, and then all of a sudden, from there, as the arms drop this side, from the outside of the foot to the inside of the foot, now I'm braced, in a sense, to strike the ball on a descending blow. And that basically repeats itself. And it's very easy that if I get to my lead side too much, guess what? There it is. And I can repeat that, and I can do it again. If I get to the lead side, where they're talking about, there it is. Because why? The bottom of the arc or the sternum has been pushed behind the ball, and the club is going to bottom out where the bottom of the arc is, or where the bottom of the sternum is, because that's the center of the body. What we're trying to do is find a way to move the center to where we can stay here. That's why Mo Norman was like this. That's why you need lateral motion. Lateral motion, people, as I said it before, lateral motion seems to be here, but the true nature of the lateral motion is we're trying to get this sternum to move forward. And that can only be done, and I'll repeat that can only be done properly, is that when you're in the top of your golf swing, you shift the body cavity over, this will naturally brace. We don't even have to worry about it. You shift the body cavity over, and the trail side, from the outside of the foot to the lead side of the foot, keeps us braced over, no different than the old clotheslines, the old poles that held the clotheslines up, and it allows us to be able to swing and strike through the ball properly. It is no different than if you got a wedge in your hand, you're getting the sternum over, and all you're doing is exactly the same thing. This is why I say in my ShadeTree Pro swing system and philosophy, top down, the same move is the same move for everybody, because everybody who plays the game of golf, their center has to be shifted over so you can strike down and through the strike each and every time. Like I said, the dominant leg, which nobody talks about, is what allows you to do that. This is Charles Calhoun, aka the ShadeTree Pro, and like I say, coming from the beautiful Marriott Grand Vista in Orlando, Florida, happy holidays to everybody, and always good golfing.